Hello everyone, welcome to Res Snapper. My name's MJ and this is Snapper Pass, the series where we look at the brand new cards coming to Marvel Snap each week. And this week it's Strange Supreme. He's a 2/2, gains +2 power from merging. End of turn, merge one of your created cards into this. So it's kind of two separate abilities. In this video we're going to look at counters, synergies, decks, all that sort of awesome stuff. We're going to have a funny time, I promise you. I'm going to try very hard to be funny. I'll tell a joke, like knock knock, who's there? Strange Supreme. Lost confidence immediately in that. If you're new, you should subscribe. It's actually going to be a good video despite everything you've seen so far. Right, let's look at the Spotlight Week. Oh, by the way, you can use the chapters below if you want to skip sort of bollocks like this. Let's look at the Spotlight Week that he is in. It's going to be one of the last Spotlight Weeks that we ever see, in fact. Yes, Snap Packs launches whilst Strange Supreme is available. So if you want to get Strange Supreme via packs, make sure you get in and do it as soon as possible when the patch launches on the 29th of April, because you'll only have a few hours before the season resets. Nice little warning for you. Well, you decide if it's nice or not, I don't know. Anyway, the Spotlight Week that he is in is actually a really, really good one. They're all Series 5 cards. It's Speed and US Agent. Really great week. Going to be a good one for me. I am actually going to probably roll this week, gamble, because I do need speed.
Caught you, drug addict.
And yeah, that US Agent variant would be quite nice. So yeah, it makes sense for me to roll personally. However, as we are in this transition period before Snap Packs with the last few Spotlight caches, you may need to consider it. It might be worth watching my recent video actually, where I explain Snap Packs in very brief detail, but it might just give you enough. Anyway, let's talk about the card in general. The archetypes I think he's going to fit into are Thanos, Space Savers. This is the archetype that I insist exists, but people claim that it doesn't, and maybe it doesn't. But anything can exist if you want it to. It's basically a deck where you use things like Baron Zemo and Shanna, things that take up a lot of space, with mergers, things like Agony and Hulkbuster, which don't take up space. And you use the combination of those factors to maximise value, because if you think about Shanna, she can be like a 3/10 really easily, right? So use a combination of those factors to get as much value out of the game as possible. And obviously he works really well with that because he is creating space for you. Shield decks, he cares about cards that are created. Mergers decks, he gains additional power when he is merging. So you could literally just play him in a normal merge deck. Clog, because the cards that you can clog your opponent with can also create cards on your side of the field, like Debris for example, and Arishem. Very spicy, very nice indeed. So he merges with created cards. So for example, that's things like Stones, Myriad and Broodling. I don't know why I put Myriad. Obviously like Maria Hill card, the 2-cost card that you get from Maria. I don't know why I worded it as Maria. Anyway, shout out and thank you to Not My Dance for actually clearing this up and clarifying it for me. He's got his own channel, but he's also part of Marvel Yap. Go and check that out if you've not watched it already. He can merge with cards in other locations. I'm talking about Strange Supreme now, not My Dance anymore. I'll start again. He can merge with cards in other locations and they'll merge into him. Okay, so Doctor Strange, I've just called him Doctor Strange, that's pathetic, embarrassing. Strange Supreme will stay where he is and the card will merge into him. So he'll suck power from another location, which is very interesting. And not always a good thing, necessarily. And he gains +2 power on top of the base power of the merged card. So don't forget this. Yes, he's merging with them. And yes, you're getting that power, but he gets +2 power on top of that. So for example, if you put Hulkbuster on top of Strange Supreme, he's gaining 5, not 3. Pros, he cuts through a lot of cards that your opponent could clog you with. Debris, the arrows from Kate Bishop. It is gigantic scaling for a 2-cost card. We've seen 2-cost +2 scalers before, and they basically get nerfed. So is this guy going to get nerfed? Like, look at Angela. She was a 2-cost card that scaled at 2. Scream. Now, admittedly, Scream is once per turn, and she actually kind of scales at 4 because you gain +2 and still 2. But there's another card who's been nerfed. So these low-cost scalers, second dinner, keep a keen eye on them, okay? And he synergizes with lots of locations and disruption effects, not just your own strategy. Cons, he can get real big, real fast. Might get Shang-Chi bitch slapped, okay? Like, the scaling of this guy could straight up just get out of control. Because remember, just merging a squirrel into him, and he's a 5 power card. He's already halfway to being Shang-Chiable. That's just with a squirrel. Like, basically, if Central Park happens to come up and all of those squirrels go everywhere, Strange Supreme will be Shang-Chiable by the end of the game. Like, it's unavoidable, inevitable. It is inevitable. Haven't got the Infinity... Actually, let's frame break for a second. I don't know if you noticed. I'm in a new room, guys. Yes, we have moved into a new room. And this will change. At the moment, you can just see, like, what? Like an Avengers donut that I won. I actually won that donut. I put it in a vlog. I will actually put a clip in here of me winning that donut if I can.
Yes? One more.
Oh, mate, I'm not good at ball game.
Hey.
Yes! Get in!
Which one do you like?
Can I have the Avengers one, please? Is that this one here, I think? Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. No, we got to carry that all day.
That's alright. And after that video, I actually thought I looked repulsive. I thought I was not happy with how I looked, and so I said I was going to lose weight. And I have lost weight since then. I'd like to lose more, but yeah, there's a nice little update for you that didn't ask for and wasn't particularly interesting, was it? No. But we'll update this background. We'll get my sign in there. I've got my Red Snapper sign just to my right. But yeah, none of this has been interesting. You might not always want to merge cards. For example, the Power Stone or other created cards that have effects. You might be playing an Arishem game and it sort of makes Iron Man impossible to play down if Iron Man is created, right? So there's definitely some very complicated, difficult situations. And you can't control which cards will merge into him if you've got multiple targets, of course. Maybe you have got that squirrel in, like, maybe it's in Sanctum Sanctorum or something, so you don't have another way to get into that location. Strange Supreme don't care, or doesn't care if we're using proper English. And he will suck that squirrel dry. I said it. The intrusive thought. Oh, don't think of it. Locations, good and bad, hey. The good locations include Central Park. Obviously, we are going to be... So cool, that's great. So anytime I think of Central Park now, I'm going to think of sucking off squirrels. Collapsed mine. You might not actually have to skip the turn. That's pretty cool. Might get you ahead a little bit. Nowhere means that you can't be Shang-Chi'd or Shadow King'd. Destroyed Mansion, obviously really good. It's creating space and gaining power. It's super, super great. Savage Land, same thing. You can literally just suck out the power. No. But you can suck that power out. Oh, God. No. You could transfer that power out of that location. And obviously gain the power on top of it as well. Quantum Realm. We always love getting scalers in Quantum Realm. Space Throne's a really interesting one because you can get Strange Supreme in there early and feel pretty confident if you're going to create a lot of cards that you're going to be able to scale either beyond their means whilst also trying to balance the potential Shang-Chi. And Nor Dimension is super nice. You get to keep repeatedly playing these Djinn, make the space and gain all of the energy, and it's super, super great. Bad ones might include Clintar, because you might amass power in there, unless you avoid it of course, but you might amass power in there, and then that either just gets moved or creates too big and too tempting of a Shang-Chi target. I mean, how many times am I going to mention Shang-Chi, right? And Monster Island, yes, it's bringing Strange Supreme up to literally 14 power, but you're either moving out of Monster Island and, again, just creating a plump Shang-Chi target, right? Let's talk about the counters for the card. You'll be very surprised to hear this, but I do think Shang-Chi might be a meaningful counter for Strange Supreme. We've also got Shadow King, which we have mentioned already. Red Guardian might be relevant. That being said, there are cards that curve really nicely into Strange Supreme, like, for example, Squirrel Girl. So, Strange Supreme might already be too big to be a valid target for Red Guardian by the time that your opponent can even get Red Guardian out. So that's pretty cool. Lunar Snow. Your opponent could play Lunar Snow, and yeah, sure, you get the 1 turn. Actually, no, hang on. If they've done it on turn 3, yeah, you might suck up the Ice Cube. I have turned into a robot. Oh, that was dog shit. What is going on? Bad robot impression. Here we go. I'll do a good robot impression now, right? I am turning into a robot. How are you? My name is Red Snow. This actually, I'm going to start blushing because that is actually so cringe and embarrassing. That is actually the worst. I need like a different colour anyway. My name is a robot. Do not put that in there. No. Again, with the intrusive thoughts. Synergies! Synergies include, obviously, cards that generate cards, especially if they go straight onto the field, onto the locations, I should say, like Squirrel Girl and like Debris. In fact, I particularly like Debris because you are clogging them and also declogging yourself, so that just feels absolutely fantastic. And you curve into it, so I think Debris is premium. In fact, I particularly like Debris into Absorbing Man. That just seems so good. You've taken up a third of their spots, and you've taken up like sort of basically nothing of your spots, and you're growing the Strange Supreme. You can even block off the Strange Supreme location from being able to be Shang-Chi'd. So yeah, I think it's going to be pretty dirty. Snow Guard obviously does generate stuff. Hawkeye generates stuff as well. Especially generates stuff that we're not always excited about, like the basic arrow or the grapple arrow. Yeah, you can do fun stuff with those, but actually being able to suck them up and take their power and make the space, I think is more interesting. And of course, Thanos. Thanos creates loads of stones. One of the downsides can be that you don't have much space. Not anymore, right? But let's look at some decks. So the first deck I've got for you is a budget deck. So this is for newer and lower collection level players, and this is an interesting one. This is a kind of lockdown deck, okay, kind of a shield lockdown deck. So we've got cards that generate those cards that we want to, like we talk like Squirrel Girl. I just like Squirrel Girl in general, especially in the context of a lockdown deck. Pump as much power into the location you're going to lock down as soon as possible. We've also got Scalers, which again can be really relevant if you're locking down a location. So we've got the Strange Supreme alongside Collector. Then we just got this random sort of mid-gamey plan of like Phastos, who's got a few synergies with a few of the cards here, like Professor X and in fact Brood. So we got that in our mid-game. Then we want to lock down a location with Storm. They maybe either don't play stuff in there, or you might not play stuff in there because you on turn 5 can lock down another location with Professor X, and then on the final turn we either Heimdall into the Professor X stuff, or we can do the Ultron stuff. Ultron, remember, one of the drones is going to get sucked up by Strange Supreme. So there's a lot of really cool, interesting stuff going on here. And this is actually a deck that despite being a budget deck, I am actually going to give this one a go. I think this looks really interesting. Our next one is called Gen Clog. So we're generating Clog for our opponent, and obviously transferring the energy with Strange Supreme. So our early game looks like Hood and Silver Sable. We start going, okay, these are some effects that we might like to duplicate via Fire Hair. So yes, I'm coping a little bit perhaps, but I have got Fire Hair in here. We've got a few ways to destroy the Fire Hair, either a Venom, which makes us space as well, or Misery, again, which makes us space. We've got the Debris combo in here with Debris and Absorbing Man. I've also got Shanna, try and eke out some extra value, and at the end of the day, after we've done all of that, tried to clog them and made loads of stuff on our side, especially with Shanna and whatnot, maybe we Cersei, because I love Cersei, recently got her, and yeah, any opportunity to use her. So again, this is, I don't know, I just think this looks interesting. I think the Debris into the Absorbing Man, I think is going to be so annoying. and we've got ways to clear it just beyond the strange. Sorry, just stop talking for a second. Beyond the Strange Supreme, we can get rid of it with like Venom or Misery and whatnot, making extra room, and it's just all good stuff. Our final deck is a Thanos deck. Now we do have Mockingbird in here because of course the stones are going to discount Mockingbird. Now there is the slight complication here that if we're sucking up a card each turn, I just can't stop of squirrels being... If we're sucking up a card every turn, that is obviously chipping away at the discount on Mockingbird, or re-chipping, reapplying the chip away that we've already done, right? So we've compensated that in this deck. Cool, I'm losing the inability to actually speak. Great, this is good. I can't remember where I got up to, so I'm just going to continue talking as if nothing has happened. You create actually quite a lot of cards with this deck. You got the Hood and the Demon, Squirrel Girl. We have even got the Shanna in here. If things get too much, we can just either Venom or Carnage or Killmonger. Hopefully, we've already got out the Mockingbird by this time. And you just throw all of this together. You're generating so many cards. You're taking up so much space. But you're able to condense all of that down in the various ways in this deck. And then at the end of the game, we've got a nice big plumpy Strange Supreme. Hopefully we can play a free death. We've already maybe got down the Mockingbird, and then we can just get down the Thanos and hope that the Power Stone doesn't get sucked up. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, and if you like the video, that will really help it, and turn on notifications too. Let's talk about the star ratings for Strange Supreme. Overall, I think it's a 5-star card. I think he's really, really good. I think he counters Clog really nicely. I think he has loads of great synergies, and I think above all else, we have seen before that scaling can be so powerful, and this particular scaling, it has such an interesting angle to it. The fact that you are merging cards, it's just fantastic. So I'm a big fan of this. It looks really good. From a fun perspective, I think scalers are generally fun themselves. Beyond that, I think sucking cards into Strange Supreme is going to feel really good. Especially when it's from another location, right? Those nice... Nope. Especially when they're from another location. I think seeing them... go into Strange Supreme is going to be fun. For the archetype, I'm not sure if he has an exact archetypal home, but to mergers and Thanos and everything like that, he's very significant and meaningful, so I give him 4.5 stars. And from a competitive standpoint, yeah, he's huge. I wouldn't be super surprised if he gets nerfed, so I've given him 4.5 stars. Unsurprisingly, I think he's a snap. I think you should probably get this card. As we said at the start, I think there's a bit of a consideration about what you do. Sorry about the lighting, by the way. I'm going to have to sort this out. There's obviously loads of extreme reflection coming off there. I can eventually, like, close the curtains and stuff. But yeah, first video in the new location, guys. So you're going to have to forgive me. Anyway, yeah. Great week to pull keys. To open keys. Gone shit in it. It's bad, innit? Gone off a cliff now. That's a shame. I think we were doing some good work with this video. It's a shame about all the sucking off stuff that happened, but otherwise I think we were doing well, and I think I've lost it. So I would unsubscribe, actually. Yeah, I think I'd unsubscribe. I can't take the shame, nor the embarrassment, but I hope you had a nice time. That was the last video we'll ever upload, and I guess I won't see you next time. But I will, because that was a joke. Awful. Delete. Feeling cute. Might cringe later. Joe, it's bad. That's not even the end. I forgot we've got another slide. I haven't got it on screen, that's why. Anyway, this is the review of the previous week's card. And this week, it's Infinity Ultron. I gave him 2 stars, and guys, I think that might have been heavy-handed. He's kind of landing at like a 1. He's landing at a 1 for me. 1.5, 1, fine. I think he's abysmal. I actually think he's pretty poor, to be honest. Well, I said abysmal, and then I've sort of upgraded to pretty. Yeah, I'm not keen. I know some people have been having success with Silver Surfer, but I saw a Reddit post where someone was like, yeah, Infinity Ultron's great. And the joke was that they hadn't even played Infinity Ultron and they were just winning because they were playing a decent Silver Surfer deck. So I think that's where he's good, where he's best. But I think that's because the shell is already good. And on the rare occasion that Infinity Ultron gives you something great, like the Wong Stone, basically, right? The Mind Stone. Then, yeah, of course you're going to do well. But, I mean, that play could have been like a Serra, right? And you could have done crazy stuff anyway. So, yeah, I'm really not sure about him. Basically, everything I said in my previous video, snap or pass Infinity Ultron, is true. He's awkward to play. You definitely need to ramp him out. The stones are too random. You might get a really bad combination. The Space Stone is so often completely irrelevant because by the time you can even play it out, they filled their locations. Doubling Ultron's power with 3 energy is often not good enough. Now, there are good combinations like double his power and then add a drone. I quite like that combination. You might have seen a short video that I did where I managed to get Infinity Ultron up to 20 power via a JTF America Chavez combo. But that's just a wild clip, right? That's never going to normally happen to you. Yeah, I don't like him. I think he needs to be reworked. And also, I don't really like that the stone artwork is being reused just with some weird black swirls. Don't even understand the black swirls. There's no reason for that from a lore perspective. Not that I'm like a diehard, oh, it has to match the lore. But it just looks lazy. Like, there's no reason for the black swirl. It just looks lazy. And also the drone being reused from normal Ultron, I also don't like that. So yeah, kind of a bit of a fail for a card for me. Now, this is the actual ending of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I have got normal all of a sudden, so I'll leave you on the thought of squirrels being sucked.